I'm Bex. I am Bekswhoknits on Twitter and also on Ravelry. I blog at polkadotsandSparkles.com, and today I'm just making a little video to show you all about my 10 stitch blanket, and in particular how to turn the pesky corners. So you start with 10 stitches. So that's the centre of the blanket there. You've got your 10 stitches, you go across and then you turn the first corner, and then you do exactly the same thing twice. So you turn the second corner. Turning the corner when you get to the end of the stitches, and you create sort of a spiral. And so each of these are corners, and that's what I'm going to show you to do. So what we've got is we've got 10 stitches. What we're doing is we're doing short rows to actually make a corner. So always slip the first stitch. We're going to firstly knit 9, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we're going to work the short row by moving the yarn forward, slipping the stitch, yarn to the back, slip the stitch again, and then yarn forward. Turn the work and work back. Don't worry if you haven't caught it the first time, because we're going to do it 8 more times. Always slip the first stitch because that makes it easy to pick up stitches on the way back. So again, this time we're going to work 8 stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, you can see that's a stitch that we previously skipped. And so we're going to move the yarn forward, move it over, yarn back, and slip the stitch again. Move the yarn back to the front, turn the work, and then knit all the way back. And repeat. And this time we've got 2 stitches. You can see we've got 2 stitches that have been left, and we've got that many stitches left. In slow motion, we have these 4 stitches that have been turned, and this one is the next to be turned. So yarn to the front, slip the stitch, always slip the stitch purlwise, yarn to the back, slip the stitch back onto the needle, yarn to the front. Then we can turn the work and knit all the way back. And what we want to do is we want to keep on doing this until there are only 2 stitches left on the needle. So once again, we yarn to the front, slip, yarn to the back, slip, yarn to the front, and turn, and back. Tricky. So always slip the first stitch, knit, and you can see the ones that have been worked because there's that gap between them, so we can know that this one is the one that needs slipping. And now the last stitch, we want to just end up with 1 stitch on our needle, like this. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the motion. So where we've got this stitch, we're going to knit into the first stitch, knit the first one that's been slipped, and then wrap the next one. and then go back. Again, don't worry if you haven't caught it the first time, because we're going to be doing this 8 more times. So slip the first stitch. We want to knit until we get the one that we just slipped, knit what we just slipped, and then slip the next one. So yarn forward, slip, yarn back, slip, yarn forward, and turn. And we're going to keep on doing this until we get to the last, until there are no more stitches to slip. So let's do this one more time. Slip the first stitch, knit until we get to the one that's just been turned. You want to knit that, yarn forward, slip, yarn back, slip, yarn forward, and turn, and then knit back. Okay, so we now have only 2 stitches left, so I'm going to turn the second last one. Again, yarn in front, slip, yarn over, slip, back and turn, and then we're just going to knit all the way back, and then we're going to do exactly the same for the last one. Always slip the first stitch because it makes it easier to pick up stitches. I think I've said that about 3 or 4 times now. So you can see this is the one that we're going to knit, and then we're going to slip the last stitch, and so we now have 10 stitches back on our needles. And so what we do now is, after I finish this row, we're going to begin to join our stitches to the rest of the blanket. So this is the edge of the blanket, and slip, knit, and then we're just going to slip, picking up the back edge of that one, knitting the 2 together, and you have just successfully turned a corner. Make sure you knit that rather tightly to close the gap between the knit 2 together and the rest of the stitches. And make sure you knit properly. So there you go. One corner successfully turned, and when you add them all together, you get a blanket.